There we go. Hey, welcome everybody. We are live in the Unready room with me, Dan Gunther, and with me, as always, the wonderful Brandi Jackola. She is
Uh,
not a poltergeist. She is a
I,
Vulcan. Well, she's
I,
also not a Vulcan, but she
yes,
could be apparently.
I could be a Vulcan. I could. It could.
It could
I,
happen.
I am logical and emotional.
There
So
you go. And yeah, if we had Chapel, we can make some Krakowian serum and just like that.
yeah, just inject logic into everyone because that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, we will talk about that. Well, we are here today to talk about the Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3, 8th episode, 4.5 Vulcans. And this is one just right out of the gate. I'm going to say, if you've listened to mine and Barry's podcast episode about this, um, we were wondering what the reception was going to be because we recorded that like a good week before it came out, and we were like, oh boy, how is this going to be received? And some interesting reception I've seen across the internet to it, good and bad. So as with any Star Trek episode, I guess. So
Yeah.
anyway, um welcome to everybody who's joined us in the chat. I see some regular faces. Thank you so much for joining us here, and thanks of course to everyone else who's watching later as well. We really appreciate you, and let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so we have the setup where there's this planet and it's a little bit convoluted. There's a planet-wide nuclear meltdown going to happen because of some technology that the Vulcans gave them to save their planet, that they're not warp capable, so its prime directive applies, but Starfleet has never encountered them. The Vulcans have, so they have to become Vulcan to go down there to fix this because the Vulcans are too far away. And so yeah, we have the Kirkovian serum that was used to make Spock back into his half Vulcan self last season. That's been altered to make our crew members into Vulcans to do this mission. They go down, they fix it, and they come back up, and all of that happens before the opening credits.
Yeah.
I have
Um,
whiplash already.
yeah. Somebody needs to explain to me why Pike has a Lirpa. Why? Why does he have a Lirpa?
I thought that was a nice touch. It was like because the Vulcans had encountered them a couple hundred years ago, and I guess that was standard issue for Vulcans trying to hide technology from the natives. Because I'm thinking back to Enterprise, right? When
Mm-hmm.
they were in the desert where the technology didn't work, and Archer and
Right.
DePaul were attacked by Vulcan security officers with Lirpas. So I guess, yeah, if they're trying to maintain their sort of version of a prime directive and not expose them to technology, I guess that kind of makes sense.
Right, but why did he need a weapon?
Just in case.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know if they hadn't been there in 100 years. They don't know if maybe the population's turned against Vulcans or something, and they need to defend themselves before they
Yeah.
can get out of there. I don't know. That didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird. I
Uh.
just really thought it was weird, although he was really good at swinging it around. So
That the little flourish was maybe a little extra.
it was a little extra. It was very much not Vulcan. Not necessary, so not Vulcan.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this episode that I'm like,
Oh, tell me about it. We're gonna get into it.
all right. So full disclosure, first watching this episode, I had very strong feelings about it and against it for some reasons and other little bits that I liked. I did watch it a second time. I liked it slightly better on the second watch, but at the same time, the things I liked were the things that I liked a little bit better, and the things I didn't like, I were confirmed to me to be things that I continued to not like.
Agree. I had the same experience.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, Matthew, I did appreciate that little detail where we see Chapel pull out the little Vulcan scanner and it looks identical or really close anyway to the style that T'Pol had
Mhm.
100 years prior again in Star Trek Enterprise, right? That was a nice touch. I like that.
Very nice.
Agreed. That was bizarre.
Yeah, it was not good.
It was bizarre. It was a choice. It was a choice.
It was a choice, that's a fact. Was it a good choice? Mm,
Indeed. Well, this whole first bit, honestly, my favorite thing is Pelia. Um, I really appreciated her commentary on her jealousy about the serum not working. Um, not wanting to get this episode demonetized or anything on YouTube, but the problems she had in the 1960s, the 1990s, and last
in last
July.
July.
I that moment I did honestly laugh out loud. That was
Yep.
funny to me.
Pelia is great in this episode because she is delivering all of the some of not all of the best lines, but most of the best lines
Yeah.
in the show at this time, in this
Yeah,
episode.
for sure. My second watch, I realized, and I kind of picked this up, of course, the first time, but like even before any of the hijinks are happening, she's kind of being a bit weird in the briefing and like trying to get Pike to give her a high five and nudging him in the ribs and stuff. And it's like, I was like, okay, they're setting a tone for the episode to kind of get our expectations ready for what this episode's going to be. But Barry put it perfectly in the podcast we did when he said they're imposing a tone.
Mhm.
I like that. It's like, okay, yeah, I see what we're doing here.
Yeah, they force it right down your throat.
Nah. Okay, so DJ Kitty Cat, I've seen this a little bit, and I would love someone to explain. Is this the Permanti sandwich thing? Is that what you're talking about? And Brandi, do you know what this is?
I
Or
do not.
okay. So DJ Kitty Cat, you're going to have to explain. Yeah, okay. Okay, so it's the Permanti's sandwich, and it has to do with when Ortegas talks about them putting the fries in the sandwich. And
Yeah.
apparently that's a that's a Primanti's sandwich in Pittsburgh, I guess. I don't know. I apologize for my lack of knowledge about this, but nice little reference there for people that aren't me
You
and
know,
causing me to learn something. That's cool.
I have an internet friend that lives in Pittsburgh. I'm gonna ask her about it. She's also an author, so she would know. I mean, she lives in Pittsburgh, so I'm definitely gonna just hit her up by email, say, "Hey, what is this thing? Tell me about this thing."
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you can find answers online, but I think the people who live there probably have a better answer.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So this whole setup, they beam down, they fix the thing within a few seconds, they come back up. And the hitch of the episode comes when the serum does not work to immediately change them back. And this is going to be the Vulcan hijinks episode of the season, clearly.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Part of my biggest problem with this whole thing is that Spock is the pack mule because he's only
Yes.
half Vulcan. Because Vulcans apparently can, I mean, just injecting somebody with Vulcan stuff makes you a racist.
Yep, apparently so. Um, Ethan Peck's responses to this and his just utter oh god is so good in
Mhm.
this. Um, I do appreciate that. But yeah, they give a line too where I remember when the clip first came out before the series before the season started about this whole opening bit basically, and people were like, well, the logic thing, that's cultural, that's not biological, right? Now there's a line in voiceover that I swear they like added um just to answer that basically, which was the serum was based on Spock's lived experience or something like that. Therefore, it causes them to be logical.
Nope.
Like, sorry, what
Nope.
does that mean?
That does not work.
Well, apparently it does.
Well, it doesn't,
How, I
though.
have no idea.
That's the thing, is you can say that stuff, but it makes no sense
Mhm.
scientifically. It makes no sense, even non-scientifically. It just you can't inject an experience into someone. You can't. That isn't a thing. It's never been a thing. It's never going to be a thing.
No, I mean, we could get into some very fringe areas of epigenetics and stuff, but,
Nope.
you know, I feel like if the episode had decided to go that way, like, they could have done something like that, but that line as spoken just, like, doesn't do it for me. I don't get
Yeah.
it.
It's a lot of, "Don't think about it too hard."
Yep, exactly. All right. Okay, let's talk about each of these characters as a Vulcan. Because I think there are two pretty good ones,
Mhm.
one very good one, and one that I'm just like, what were you
Mm,
thinking?
mhm.
Um, so
I
let's
bet we have the same opinion of who all of those people are.
I think so. I think
Mhm.
so. Generally three not too bad, one just baffling, I'm gonna
Mhm.
say.
Agree.
Um, let's start there. Let's just get it over with.
Yeah.
Pike is a Vulcan. What is going on here?
Why? What was the direction for this? I mean, was this something he brought that Anson Mount thought about himself, or was this the actual director saying, "No, do this"? Because it is terrible. He's so shouty. So shouty. Why does he
Yeah.
keep shouting?
His version of Vulcan seems to be yelling at
Yeah.
people.
Yep. Yep.
Um, Also, like, he had this weird affect to him, and partway through the episode, I thought to myself, he reminds me of the Thermians from Galaxy Quest.
Mhm.
Like, he doesn't seem Vulcan to me, he seems just kind of generically weird alien.
Mhm.
Uh, I read Keith DeCandido's review of this episode, he's pretty scathing of it, probably even more so than I would be. And he's like, he reminded him of a cone head the whole time. And Barry, when we were watching this, said like he expected Pike to turn and go ack 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 like half the time. It's just like, what is he doing?
Ugh, yeah, just,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it just it's and I can see, that Matt's talking about Spock yelling in Q&A and the cage. Yes, but that's not all the time, is it?
Mhm.
Basically, uh, Pike is yelling most of the time that he's saying words.
Yeah. And also, like, the things they're doing are not logical either.
Mm-mm.
Like, if they're under this pretense that this serum has made them logical, I contend that it actually hasn't. Like, how does a 42-minute shift work? Like, that doesn't,
That makes no
like,
sense.
I would have liked to have some explanation as to, I don't know. It was just like the one good thing to come out of that was Pelia in the
Yes.
background of the scene, and oh, these 42-minute shifts are killing me. I did like that. That was good.
Yeah, 42 minutes is a very odd number too. Well,
Mhm.
actually, 42 is the answer to the meaning of life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah, the
So,
ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. Yeah.
yeah, that's 42. If you didn't know that answer, now you do.
Yep.
So, take that
Go
with you.
go forth. And also, I think by the end they decide that it's how many roads must a man walk down, and then they're satisfied with that answer, and they move on.
Now that song is playing in my head. Why did you do that? You
Hey,
jerk.
hey, blame, Douglas Adams. Don't blame me.
Oh, it's playing in my head. How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man?
So I think it was, yeah, it was 42-minute shifts, but then there was like some, like every so often there was a something with a 5 in it, like 50-minute or something. He was like, it was weird.
Yeah, it just that's inefficient. It's grossly inefficient.
So the one thing that I liked about the Pike thing, and this was before I'd watched the rest of the episode. So the opening voiceover, I do have to admit, I did laugh when I realized, a second and a half in what they were doing. I that did make me laugh. I thought that was funny. They're committing to the bit. Then the rest of the episode happened, and I was like, ugh. But I was like, okay, all right, okay. I'm still kind of on for the ride here. Let's see where this goes. That was kind of funny. Who it didn't sustain it for me, but I did laugh at that.
Yeah, it was just, at first, I thought it was funny for, like, 2 seconds, and then I was just like,
Mm. The other thing is, Pike's hair, obviously. We should talk about that,
"How can
is
it get
it
any
just
higher?"
got so much higher and ridiculous.
I feel bad for Anson Mount having to wash that out later because that was not ever gonna move. Actually, I really hope that it was some kind of a wig, but it didn't seem like it, didn't look like it, and that's gonna take more than one shampoo,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, the added effect of it as well was there was some times in the episode where, like, I felt Pike looked really, like, squat and
Mm.
short, and then I realized it's because the camera has moved up to accommodate his hair in the frame, so he feels shorter in the frame. It's the
Yeah,
funniest effect. When I realized that was what was doing it, I was like, "Oh my god."
yeah.
Uh,
Ugh,
so it's
mm.
making me laugh, but maybe not for the right reasons at
Not for
this
the right
point.
reason, no. No.
Uh, okay, let's talk about, Chapel next as a Vulcan. I would say, um, mannerisms wise, she felt, and like contrary to what you would think on first appearances as to who would make a good Vulcan, I
Mm,
thought she did a good job with the mannerisms and the not completely emotionless when she starts getting into the passion about like getting these experiments done and stuff. Her eyes kind of go wide and she has this glint in them, and I'm like, yeah, I buy this. Like I see her as a Vulcan, weirdly enough. So good performance by Jess Bush here, I thought.
yeah, I think out of all of them, she was the one that was, that wasn't as completely different as
Mhm.
her original self, and that's not a complaint, really. It's just,
Yeah.
she she was passionate, still passionate about the same things, just actually more so, and that's interesting because if one thing is gonna get a Vulcan going, it's probably science. So
Mhm.
she she was, and her saying that Vulcan brains don't require sleep, that is not true.
Not as much
Vulcans
sleep.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think she said that I can't remember, but she said it more emphatically, like, "My mind does not require sleep," and I'm like, "Yes, it does."
Yeah, because I
Even
think
at the
Tuvok
most.
says they can go 2 weeks or something like that without sleep or something like that. There's
Yeah,
some number given in Voyager, yeah.
yeah, but you can't do that forever, and it's
No.
it's dangerous to even do it for a couple of weeks. So
Yeah, and I mean, like, in the episode where Tuvok says that, he falls asleep on the bridge while in command, so there you go, I
yeah, there
guess.
we are. My point has been proven.
Absolutely. Um, the one thing I will say, so performance-wise and all of that, really well done.
Yes.
Writing-wise, the fact that she's, again, like you said, going to forego sleep and also cut off all of her relationships, again, wildly illogical.
Mhm. Very
Uh,
illogical.
yeah. I love, though, when she's talking to Corby and Spock walks in and he realizes what she's doing, and she's like he's kinda like his face is like, Oh. Ah, Spock, no, don't get your hopes up there.
No, I don't think he is. I think it's pretty clear to him that he and Christine are a bad idea.
Mhm. But I do
So
still think the ghost of something passes
oh,
over his face.
absolutely, because Ethan Peck's a genius.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Um, so yeah, I appreciated her performance. I did like, basically all of the characters at the end when they turn back into human. I do like their reactions,
Mm.
and hers, like, she's like, "I need to talk to everybody."
Yep.
Sleep first, sleep first. She's just exhausted.
And that whole time, like, Mbenga looks like he's trying so hard not to laugh.
Yeah.
And he's so good at it. He's just you can just tell that he just wants to bust up laughing, and he manages to hold it back.
Yeah, for sure. Uhura. Let's talk about Uhura as a Vulcan, who again I think does a very good job with the acting and the
Agree.
affectation and all of that. So, take that as read. The performances in this episode, with the one exception, I think are very, very good. Uh, Again, though, some of the writing around this, um, the relationship between her and Beto is full on toxic at this point. I mean,
Mhm.
in the last episode, he was recording her without her realizing, and there was some fallout from that. In this episode, like, I was for half a second, I wasn't sure if she had given him the Kirkovian shot to turn him into a Vulcan. And then, of course, I'm like, no, the eyebrows are the same. Like, we can't see his ears. So I was like, oh, but his eyebrows look the same. And then we find out that she mind melded with him to encourage him to be more Vulcan and more pliant to what she wants. Which, there's some castigation of her by Ortegas, but it's still played as a joke, and it feels really gross to me. Like,
Mm.
the just
Yep.
the like, he technically, I guess, consented, but really, like, that felt really gross to me.
I agree, and I like the way that Beto confronts her and said,
Yeah.
You did this." And and she's like, but that wasn't me," and he's like, "But it was. But it was."
Mhm.
So, yeah, it was, they did agree to start over, and maybe they can work something out where both of them are on equal footing. I like Beto. I'm happy to have him around this season. I don't think he's gonna stick around forever,
I don't
but
think so.
he's adorable, and I wanna put him in my pocket.
Oh, yeah. Um, yeah, I just Strange New Worlds has kind of become a breeding ground for toxic relationships at this point, though. Like,
Yeah,
the two
bit.
of them, Chapel and Corby, uh, I mean, I think Spock and Lon are really good. I hope they don't go down the road of toxicity, but I don't know.
No, I think they have too much logic for that, because La'an is very logical, and I
Yeah.
think that's why she understands Spock so well.
Well, let's talk about Lon then, because, uh, this
Jeez.
was this was one, and, like, about 5 seconds in, I was like, "Oh my god, I know what they're doing."
Yeah, well, and 5 seconds in, I'm just like, "Oh, everybody forgot that she had augment cells."
That too, yeah.
Oh,
I
no.
didn't even think of that until the end, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, that makes sense." But, like, also the fact that she becomes a Romulan, basically, I was kind of like, if you take away the logic, that's what a Vulcan is. So, like,
Mhm.
I was kinda like, at that point thinking, like, shouldn't they all be kind of like this? But no, we've got the magical elixir that has the Spock stuff, so blah blah blah. So, but with her, it was the augment DNA, I guess, that did things. which is interesting. Again, it's ridiculous and silly, and I'm laughing, but whatever. That scene in the corridor with Pike and La'an, where they
Mm.
both, through weird time stuff over the course of the series, have encountered Romulans. Um, like, if we say it at the same time, Romulans. We will not speak of this again. Turn around and walk away. I did
I
laugh at that.
I mean, even her eyebrows are different from the others.
Mhm.
She's almost as if to make her look more devious.
Oh, man, and she plays that up, like, her facial expressions and stuff. She's using all of that makeup and her face to just, like, scream Romulan. It's so good.
She's really good.
Uh,
I think she's my favorite.
yeah. So, Dave brings up a good point here. It bugged me though, especially watching the second time when they explain why that is and stuff, and, like, the fact that this is such a thing that has been a weight around her neck that she hates and brings up all the time. The fact that it was like, "Oh, it's because of that you tried to take over the galaxy and all this stuff." And it's kinda like, "Oh, okay." I don't know if we're gonna see any fallout from that. I don't know if we wanna see any fallout from that. I don't really wanna see much referring back to this episode personally, but, like, that would be crushing. That was
Mhm.
horrible that, and just so casually said to her by Spock that, like, it was your augment DNA that caused you to become something different and threaten the lives of everyone you love and care about. Like, that's terrible. I didn't like that at all.
I didn't either. I mean, it's I can kind of understand why they would use that because she there's no like, everybody else was human, right? Everybody was human in this party except for Spock. Spock's half human, but everybody reacted to the serum differently as far as what they focused on. And because she has these augment cells that she doesn't really want or need, um, that was one of the things that was just I don't know why no one thought of that before injecting her. It's just like, do we know what kind of effect this is going to have on her with her having these different cells?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
just yeah,
yeah.
that and the fact that Pelia is a lanthanite, they just
Mhm.
didn't take any of this into account. They just
Yeah.
like, "Ps, ps, 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 let's see what happens."
Yeah,
Ugh,
just it's so sloppy.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't like it. And, I really like Dave's, comment here too. The biological determinism thing, it feels a little gross.
Mhm.
I don't know.
It's not fair. It's not fair to La'an as a character.
Yeah, and if they were wanting to explore some of these topics, maybe in a more nuanced way, in a more nuanced episode, in an episode where it's not played up for laughs, um, and yeah, its portrayal of Vulcans is not kind. Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched Jesse Gender's video on this, but I've heard, um some people talking about it and comparing this to like a minstrel show or blackface, right? It's
Mhm.
putting on stereotypical characteristics and acting like it. Now it's for a fictional group of people. It's not the same, obviously, not the same. But like it feels gross. I don't like it.
Mhm.
And I think when somebody mentioned that, it kind of coalesced in my mind why I was feeling gross through the whole episode, and, yeah, that's definitely part of it.
Yeah. It's, unfortunate. Even though I think La'an was the best,
Yes.
performance, um, with I think Uhura was a close second. But La'an was my favorite out of this group, and I, am very frustrated by, uh, what they did, and I even called it before it was actually put out because I think Dave said, "Why is she acting this way?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's probably her augment cells."
Hmm.
Sure
Yeah.
enough, at the end, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's disrespecting this character and everything she's been through.
Yeah. Didn't like it for sure.
Mm-mm.
So Lon is mostly dealing with Kirk and Scotty in this episode. And Kirk is on the ship because they were close by, I guess, and he wanted to visit Sam while they're on shore leave, but Sam's already left. So Kirk's just going to hang out with Scotty, I guess. Keith DeCandido made a point in his review. It's like, damn, Kirk, call ahead.
Right? Right? And
Oh,
and the repairs to, the Farragut aren't quite complete, they're still missing a nacelle, apparently.
and Scotty's very sorry about that. That was cute.
It
Uh,
was.
I did really like Kirk and Scotty's bonding in this
Yes.
episode, and even dealing with Lon, I thought there were some great moments in that. Some ridiculous moments, but some good moments.
Yeah, I really loved the thing where she's like, "Where is this?" And he just is like, "Here." And Kirk's like, "Don't let her press that." And he just lets her press it, and it just zaps her, puts her unconscious. And I felt that coming. I'm like, Scotty
Oh
is a
yeah,
smart kid. And
yeah. Well, the look Scotty gives Kirk, he's like, "Mm, don't worry about
yeah,
it."
that was funny. Just the two of them together. Kirk is just basically he's like a big friendly dog through this entire thing. He's just like, "What's up? What are we gonna do now?" That's Kirk through this whole episode, and I loved it.
Yeah. Um, Barry had a really good observation about Kirk in this, especially with how he related to La'an and seeing her going around and doing this stuff, and like he's kind of just going along with it. Uh, really gave Barry a first Ghostbusters movie, Peter Venkman to Zool inhabiting Dana Barrett's body, where she's like, are you the key master? And he's like, yes. And just kind of like going along and like, it's like, there's something weird about her. We need to stay close to her and like not get her mad at us. I liked that.
Yeah. I understand that, but at the same time, I hate the movie
Oh no,
Ghostbusters,
no, no. I know
and
that. I wasn't.
it's just the thing is that what happens after he says, "Oh yes, I am the key
Oh yeah, yeah.
the key
No,
master,"
no,
it's just ugh.
no. We're talking about
So,
this episode. We're not
but yeah,
talking about. But
yes, but again, yes, it's just the big friendly dog going, "Yep, yep, we're gonna do that. Yeah, let's do that. Okay."
let me call for some help here for no reason.
It was so funny because Scotty was just like, "I don't know where she is." They're, like, walking through the corridors, like, "I don't know where she is. I swear she's watching me from inside the ship," and he says, "She's a Vulcan, not a poltergeist."
Poltergeist.
I laughed out loud.
That was great.
It's just funny. Oh,
Yeah.
he's so good-natured throughout this entire episode, and it's just fun to watch him.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, so that's put her off the board for now, thankfully. Because yeah, she's wanting to start a war with the Tholians and the Klingons and the Gorn and have them all blame each other
And the Orions, because
and the Orions.
first we tell the Klingons it's first we tell the Klingons that, that they've been attacked by the Orions, and then we tell the Orions that it's the Tholians that are actually pulling the strings, and then the Tholians, and it's just like this big web, and I'm like, "Girl, stop, just don't start a war. Stop it. Just stop it. Not necessary."
No. Okay. Before we talk about, there's a couple more things to talk about. I want to jump back to Pike's story just for a minute because there's a part of this ongoing story that really bugged me when I was watching it, and that's the whole thing with Battelle. and
Mhm.
Admiral Pasalk, who's returning from last season's Ad Astra per Aspera. So she's going to host him for a dinner to try and get her old job with the JAG office back. But now Pike's a Vulcan, so he's like, well, that will help your chances and it'll be great. And this whole bit, there's a number of reasons I didn't like it, but the biggest reason I didn't like it is as soon as the scene started, you know exactly how it's all going to go to the very end of the episode, which is like it's going to be a disaster somehow,
Mhm.
and she's going to expect that she's going to not be able to get her position back, but she's going to have impressed him so that like it's been done so many times in sitcoms, and I was hoping there'd be some interesting twist to it, but it just paint by numbers follows that. um and then there's other things with that scene that I want to talk about, but I'll give you a chance to comment on that if you're interested.
Yeah, I felt very sympathetic towards Patel and
Mhm.
just how annoying. I mean, why on earth would you make leek sorbet? What how can Vulcans like that? And all the stuff that he said earlier about, her having a scent and, basically just being a typical Vulcan, but you can see that she's worried even before Admiral Pissoff gets there. And then during the dinner, she's like, clenching her jaw, trying her best to be as diplomatic as possible, and then she's just had it.
Mhm.
And I love what she said to him. I do,
Absolutely.
because and you always favor Vulcans. Always. You're not impartial. All of these things. And then she tells them to get out.
Yeah.
It's Pike's quarters, but she tells them to get out, and they do.
Yeah. Yeah, I did appreciate that. The lead up to that, so I felt like this scene, like, obviously, they're playing up the species thing, the Vulcans feeling
Yes.
superior to the human, but also the fact that it was 2 men talking about the future career of a woman who's just sitting there and not allowed to get a word in edgewise. I was
Mhm.
like, either they realize this and are playing it up, or they are tone deaf writing this and not realizing what this feels like. But I think they realized what it felt like, and then, her getting her agency back at the end, clawing it away from these 2 idiots. I did appreciate that. But again, I just like I knew where it was all going, and like
Mhm.
it followed that paint by numbers thing that bugged me. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and my thought was, "Oh, don't go goring on him, okay? Just don't go goring on him.
Oh yeah.
Just keep that under control," and she did, because I was worried as she was getting more agitated. I'm like, "Is something
Mhm.
bad gonna happen here? Is she gonna kill Admiral Pissoff?" I don't think it go well.
This comedy episode took a dark turn.
Well, that's what I do. I take comedy and give it a dark turn.
I like it. Okay, so 2 more things, I guess, to talk about in this, and, the first big one is, they decide that the best way to there's a thing that I like in this, actually. I'm gonna focus on that for a second, where they talk about they need to get in touch with their true selves, their core selves, and find out what they want. And if they do want to truly remain as Vulcans, honor that. But if they do want to go back to human, they need to figure that out too. And I was like, if this were a more nuanced episode, a more thoughtful exploration of things, like what a cool trans allegory that could be,
Mhm,
where like, you feel uncomfortable with yourself, you want to change yourself, and you need to like get in touch with your core self and find out who the true you is. Like, oh, that could be really cool. But again, that's not this episode. It's very surface, it's very, whatever. um which is another reason I'm kind of ticked off that we don't get to see that play out for Uhura, Pike, and chapel.
Mhm.
And like that's a little annoying. I get that we want to focus on Lon's aspect of it, but it felt very like, oh, we're going to get this guy who's an expert in Katras, who we will talk about in a moment, um, to help us with the Katras. Scene change. First officer's log. We did that and it went great, except for one. I'm like, oh, okay. Darn. Insert sad trombone noise here. Like,
Wah, wah, wah.
exactly. So, Una and Doug. Half of that equation I loved, half of it I did not.
Um, okay. It's just how she behaves when she's around Doug is so icky. It is so icky. It bothered me so
Yeah.
much. It just did not fit the character. Everything we know about this character. No. And I can't, and there's not even a good explanation as to why she becomes this insipid, doe-eyed, oh, I'll do anything you say type person in his presence. There's no explanation for that. There's no forethought about it. There's just,
It's unearned.
yeah, it's not earned. And just
Mhm.
saying in a few lines, it's like, oh, well, I act really different around him, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no, this is not enough. It's not
Yeah.
enough.
And the thing is, I feel like if the writing was there for this, Rebecca Romaine and Patton Oswalt are accomplished enough actors, they could make me buy this.
Yes.
Like if there was again the unearned thing, like we've
Mhm.
seen this in other shows or other things, and it's worked well with two characters. I don't think it's the actors, I don't think it's the chemistry between them, because I think they could do it. It's just that, like, we establish this as a given, drop them into it and do some funny bits, and it's like, no, 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 like, build up to it. Like, don't, maybe they are working on the whole Katra thing together and trying to figure it out, and he's being very impressive, and you're seeing that it just kind of like puts her a little off kilter, and like you can kind of sense that animal magnetism between them, and you kind of like come to realize over the course of the scene that, like, oh wow, they are really vibing on each other. Oh, I get it, right?
Mhm.
But we get this scene where she's flustered, so she makes up lies about her and Spock, and it builds and builds and builds before Spock makes her leave, basically. And then that's all undone when he's like, that none of that's true, is it? No. Okay, so why did we watch all that? Like, what was the
Mhm.
point of that, other than it's a goofy episode, so everyone's going to act a little goofy, even people who aren't part of the goofy part of the plot. Like, it just, oh, I didn't like it.
I didn't either. I didn't either. I love seeing Patton Oswalt. I love the guy,
Yes.
and I knew his stand-up comedy before I ever saw him actually do any acting, and the first
Oh
time I
yeah,
ever saw him
sure.
do any actual acting was actually in the, uh, short-lived television series Dollhouse,
Mm,
and I'm
mhm,
just like, "Oh my god, he can act! He's
yeah,
really good at this!" So, yeah, that made me an even bigger fan of
yeah.
him. And I know what my husband thinks about this, but I actually like Doug. I think it's silly that he has a human name, but, and I don't care for the explanation of why he has a human name, but Doug himself, I don't really have a problem with. I think
I
he's cute.
I actually really liked this character. I thought I would be curious to explore that character more. Like, there's analogs to this, right? Like, there's people in the Western world who become completely enamored of Japanese culture, for example, and just
Mm,
like go whole hog in on it, right? And his parents obviously did that too, in a very superficial way. Superficial, I say, because Doug doesn't really know a lot about humans and is eager to learn about stuff. I love that his sister Susan is an aide to the Vulcan First Minister, and just like all of this. Was his brother Pete or something like
mhm.
that?
Pete, yeah.
I liked him. I thought he was great. And
Yeah.
again, like, he's a good actor. Rebecca Romaine is a great actor. They could have done something really interesting with this, um, to the point where, like, I would love to see their dynamic going forward, but instead, no, and I don't wanna ever see them together again,
No.
which is unfortunate
Mm.
because they could do better, I think, but
Mhm.
and by they, I meant the writers of this episode.
Agree. Yep.
With apologies. But, yeah, the little bit after the credits too, if you haven't watched, past the credits, there's a whole bit about Spock showing Doug human stuff and, like, trying to get, contractions down correctly and learning how to high five and all that. It's ridiculous, and there's even just a little bit of an outtake right at the very end. It's beautiful. It's fun. I loved it unapologetically. I was like, thankfully, that left a good taste in my mouth at the end of this episode.
Yeah, I would watch an entire episode of Spock with Doug.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, so the last thing though we have to talk about is Lon and her coming back to wanting to be human again. Um, I have to admit this was the one part when I watched the episode the first time, I think I was in a like, I just was not enjoying the episode and I rolled my eyes through the whole thing and stuff. On the second watch, I actually really appreciated her scene with Spock and coming back to, um, being wanting to be human. I think the first time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, she came back to herself through the power of dance." But, like, no, it's actually a very beautiful scene and very well done, and I love Christina Chong and Ethan Peck, and I think they do a wonderful job in this scene. So if you were like me and dismissed it the first time because the rest of the episode had put you off, watch it again. This is worth a closer look, I think.
Yeah, I could actually watch them dance all day. But when that started, I just thought, "Oh, they're not talking because this is a way more complicated dance number that they're doing." So, it was definitely something that they could not have done while speaking, and so they let kind of the emotions that are coming through the dance speak for themselves, and I appreciated that.
Mhm,
And just, when he's finally gotten to her, when he's just voicelessly, he doesn't say anything, and, she doesn't say anything until the very end when she's like, "Change me back."
mhm,
And that was just the 2 of them and their closeness and him reminding her of what they have is what without saying it, is what brought her to herself again. And I
yeah,
appreciated that. And I actually thought and I'm just like, "Wow, they're really pulling out all the stops with this dance in here."
no,
So, yeah, I
no.
loved that part.
Um, so yeah, that I appreciated it as well, and I'm annoyed that I dismissed it so casually before. I was like, "Okay, that was really good." Um,
Hey, let that annoyance go, man.
yeah,
You viewed it a second time and you changed your opinion, and that's an amazing thing.
some would say I'm a flip-flopper. No, I
Nope,
just
you
nope.
are not a flip-flopper. You are not a flip-flopper.
Absolutely. So yeah, I it's never actually been said. I think the first time they mentioned cetacean ops is Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Mhm.
But also that scene was in Lon's mind, so that might
Yeah.
might have just been relaxing whale song of
Yeah.
the beluga floating past in her brain.
Yep,
So, I don't know.
that's basically what I told Dave is that there's no evidence to say that there wasn't cetacean ops
There could
before
be, yeah.
the voyage home, because he was like, but they didn't have the whales," and I said, "They didn't have the humpback whales. The humpback whales were what were needed to specifically respond to this one probe."
Mhm. Yeah, they only
So,
brought forward humpback whales, so they
yeah, that's
obviously
it.
still had because there's
Other
beluga
whales.
whales in lower decks, so they must have survived unless there's a whole separate mission that they went and brought beluga whales.
Get a blue whale up in there because 'cause they're
I have an idea
gigantic.
for a movie.
Yeah. Star Trek 4 Part 2. Back to the whales.
Well, what's the next Lower Decks comic we're going to be talking about called? I think it's Again with the Whales.
Again
That
with
would
the
be it.
whales.
Yep. Star Trek 14, Again with the Whales. I love it.
I love it. I love it. That's the thing. You could do it in animation. You
Yeah,
wouldn't even have to do it with live action. You could do that in animation so easily.
absolutely.
Dude, let's have a Lower Decks film. Let's have a Lower
Yeah.
Decks film, full-length film, which means
Hmm.
at least 90 minutes, and let them be the ones to to take all the whales from the 20th century and
There you
stick
go.
them in the future so that
No.
they can have cetacean ops. Sorry, my brain is now spiraling with all the possible
So, Dave, maybe, but also they might have a cetacean ops on Strange New Worlds. It's never said one way or the other. So there
Yeah,
could be a cetacean ops, but there might also not be.
yeah,
She just
there's
might listen to Whale Song to be relaxing, and her mind created that landscape. So
yeah, it could have been that she was thinking of an aquarium, and that's just,
yeah,
you know, also while on the ship.
yeah,
So
because I
there
don't think there's anything in that scene that said cetacean ops or anything like
no,
that. I think it was
no.
just windows with a beluga floating by.
Yeah, and that's
Which,
the
I
thing.
mean, my mind has come up with weirder things than that.
Absolutely. The things that I would think about floating by, I don't necessarily anyway. Um, I feel like since there's no clear, information, there's nothing that says that cetacean ops started at a certain time,
Mhm.
that this scene didn't bother me at all. It greatly bothered Dave, obviously, but it didn't bother me because I'm just like, we don't have any information that there has not been cetacean ops until after Star Trek 4. I mean, that doesn't make any sense because obviously there has to be sea life
Yeah.
on the planet. So,
And they did
yeah.
know that whales were intelligent
Yeah.
before Star Trek 4 as well, because Spock what does Spock say? There are other forms of intelligence on Earth besides man, Doctor. Only
Mhm.
human arrogance must think the message must be meant for man. So
Yeah.
they knew that something else on Earth was intelligent, probably whales.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah. Yeah, well, a probe came back to see why they lost contact with him.
know. Mhm.
So, that's why
What,
the probe
whales
was
are
there in the
evil?
first place. What?
Oh,
Even
I
though
love Prodigy.
they're evil. Oh my god. Oh, Prodigy, I need to rewatch that. I'm actually starting a Discovery rewatch, so as soon as I'm done with that, I'll go rewatch
Hey,
Prodigy again.
me too. I just watched Battle at the Binary Stars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, and because, for Shield Podulation, I'll just stick this in here now, we're covering our first Discovery episode since we started the
Yeah.
podcast, which is Terra Firma Part 2, which is season 3. And I thought I didn't look up which episode it was, but I'm like, "I think that's the two-parter with the Guardian of Forever, Carl." Carl. Love Carl. Carl's great.
Yep.
But it was one of those things where I kinda had figured it out before the big reveal happened, but I still got goosebumps when he said, "I am the guardian of for."
Yeah.
So they really gave it that TOS sound.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we go, I guess we should do final thoughts about 4.5 Vulcans and a rating for the episode. Brandi, final thoughts on 4.5 Vulcans.
Ugh. I think that sums it up better than any words I could say. So that's how I feel about those are my final thoughts on this episode is
Fair
Eh,
enough.
so, and I would give this episode, 1, "You can't inject logic!"
All right. Yeah, I this is my least favorite episode of Strange New Worlds. It's ironic it comes 2 episodes after my favorite episode of Strange New Worlds ever.
Right?
Um, I will say that the season 3 of Strange New Worlds, I think, has been incredibly good. I really, really like this season. This is the first major misstep for me. And I mean, as I say in the podcast that we put out yesterday, they can't all be winners. There's always going to be a least favorite episode. And this is now it. That said, I enjoyed watching it. There was parts in it that I liked. When I rewatched it a second time, I liked those parts more. Um, there's things in this episode that I enjoyed and laughed at a second time when I watched it, which is a good thing. So yeah, it's not one I'm going to be revisiting soon or often, but it's an episode. As Barry said in the Positively Trek discussion group, it is certainly an episode of Star Trek. So
State the facts when you have nothing good to say. Just state the facts.
yeah, I will give it I will give it one Christopher Pike going ack 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 ack. Because I can't get that image out of my mind, and it didn't even actually happen.
And you did it to me. You had to go and do it to me. Jerk.
Oh man. So yeah, that's our discussion on 4.5 Vulcans. I hope lots of people enjoyed it way more than I did. If this is your favorite episode, that's awesome. I celebrate that. That's great. It is not mine, but I'm looking forward to the remaining 2 episodes of the season, and we will be here to talk about them. Brandi, you of course, you mentioned your next episode of Shield Podulation. What's next on Boldly Go? I'm looking
This
forward to your
episode.
discussion about this episode.
Yeah, this episode. Dave is going to have a lot to say, and that's great. I'll
Excellent.
have a
I
lot to say
cannot
too.
wait.
But yeah, it's it's not completely terrible, but I mean there are bright points in it, just not enough. But
Mhm.
yeah, so that's what we'll be doing on Boldly Go, and we're gonna record that on Monday since it's a holiday here
Oh,
on Monday,
yeah.
and so we'll actually get it out in time. This past week we were aiming for Tuesday, and things just happened that just didn't make that work out, and so we had to do it on Thursday. But this one should be out next Monday, and Shield Podulation will be out later today. And
Nice.
that is Saturday, August 30th, for people who may not be joining us live.
Nah. So the most recent episode of Positively Trek, of course, was out yesterday, talking about this episode. I also have another bonus episode, not bonus. It's a numbered episode, but it's our end of month comic episode. It will be out tomorrow. It probably won't be out overnight between today and tomorrow like they usually are. I will probably get it done editing it tomorrow during the day, and it'll be out sometime during the day tomorrow, August 31st, end of the month. And we are talking about the Star Trek Lower Decks comic issue number 10 and the first issue of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, The Seeds of Salvation miniseries. So looking forward to sharing our thoughts with you about that. And that's, of course, me and Brandi that are doing that as well. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. I even wore an IDIC pin in honor of Vulcans today, as just like, showing a little solidarity with our Vulcan brothers and sisters, I guess.
Yeah, I have a ring on that is actually IDIC.
Oh, nice.
It's there's this shop on Etsy that makes Vulcan jewelry, and I have been a patron of them for a lot.
Oh, that's
There's a
cool.
lot that they made for me. It's you can have custom things done, but there are also things that are, just standard, like you can get an IDIC, you can get a Shyam, you can get a K I can't say that word. Kaidith. Kaidith? Yeah. Etc. So there's a you can get live long and prosper. There's so many different things. So
Cool.
um so yeah, and I've got my science earrings on, you can't really tell, but this is my Science Delta earrings. So in honor of
Nice.
Spock and science.
I like
Because
science.
science!
Well, live long and prosper, everybody. And I mean that sincerely in this episode of all episodes, right? So take care.